281-558-5738, 281-558-KSEV. There is a story that we need to talk about coming out of the FBI. We need to talk with our first guest this morning, Brian Bouffard. Earned his law degree at Duke University Law School as a former Navy JAG officer. Practices law up in Fort Worth, Texas. Criminal and military defense counsel who travels all over this globe representing service members facing court-martial. Hey, Brian, welcome back to the Voice of Texas.
Good morning, Chris.
All right. Since you are a Navy JAG officer, and I want you to put on your just not your lawyer hat for a minute, just your service hat. Somebody who served honorably in the armed forces. Here you have you had a guy being held in a Mexican prison, former Marine. Obama didn't lift a finger to get him out. Then you have a guy being held, Amir Hekmati, being held in Iran. Obama doesn't lift a finger. These are guys who served honorably, correct? And then you have Bo Bergdahl. Mr. Obama releases 5 of the worst in Gitmo to secure his release. Again, putting more American lives at risk, many would argue, because now we've got these Taliban guys back on the street and joining the fight sometime very soon here. You can understand why this just looks terrible, yes?
Yeah, the optics on this are awful. And I think we've all been noting that for months and months now as far as the Bo Bergdahl issue, and it's going to be coming to a head here shortly.
While we're talking about that case, what is your take on where this is going? Because now we are finding out that Team Obama knew about Bergdahl's checkered past and what the circumstances were, and they made this deal anyway.
Right, and I think that we all really basically knew that even from the get-go. As I've been saying, when I've been interviewed on this issue, Bergdahl leaves his unit in 2009. They did an investigation in 2009, and they got the bulk of this information back then. So it really is almost inconceivable to me that the president and the administration would not have been aware of this when they were discussing what should we do about the fact that we've got Bo Bergdahl in the hands of the Taliban. So I simply refuse to believe that the administration did not know about that. And again, there may have been valid reasons to go forward with it anyway, but to say that we didn't know about it is ludicrous.
Yeah, and then the Rose Garden appearance with Bo Bergdahl's parents and Susan Rice jumping out there and saying that he served with honor and distinction when the administration knew. Nothing could have been farther from the truth. Brian Bouffard, my guest right now, former Navy JAG officer. Let's talk about this, I got to say, a head-scratcher. No pun intended about this hair analysis out of the FBI. This was in the Washington Post over the weekend. The Justice Department and the Federal Bureau of Investigation have formally acknowledged that nearly every examiner in an elite FBI forensic unit gave flawed testimony in almost all trials in which they offered evidence against criminal defendants for more than a 2-decade period before the year 2000. This is a bombshell.
Well, it is, and let's speak clearly. Let's not use the word flawed. Let's use the word lied, because they lied. And as a result of lying, there are men and women who have now been executed, have now died in prison, or have been rotting in prison since the 70s. And the only thing you need to know to draw this all in and tie it up in a neat bow is power corrupts. And that's exactly what this is about.
Wow. Of 28 examiners with the FBI's laboratory microscopic hair comparison unit, 26 of them overstated forensic matches in ways that favored prosecutors. In more than 95% of the 268 trials reviewed so far, according to the National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers and the Innocence Project, which are assisting the government with the country's largest post-conviction review of questioned forensic evidence. The cases include those of 32 defendants sentenced to death. Of those, 14 have already been executed or died in prison. So this is literally a life or death lie.
Well, it is, and there's a couple of points about this. Number one, I would caution your listeners not to get hung up over the fact that this was brought to light by defense lawyers. Yes, it was. That's our job. And number two, the Justice Department has admitted it. So take away any issue of bias on this point. And then the other issue I'd like to point out is we're talking about systematic government lying and abuse to burn citizens since the 70s. Now, what do we know has happened since the 70s? Well, we've had Republican and Democratic administrations. We've had Republican and Democratic Congresses. This is not a liberal versus conservative issue. This is liberty versus authority. And the government has a lot to answer for here.
Good grief. And, again, people have lost their lives. Now, again, it probably wasn't the only evidence offered. It wasn't.
That's true. That's true. And, I mean, again, I haven't reviewed all the facts, of course. We're talking about thousands of cases. But yes, this at best was a piece in the puzzle, but it's a very important piece. And if you're a juror and an FBI scientist is telling you, yes, this is a hair match, he was there at the crime scene, that's powerful evidence.
Brian Bouffard, he is a former Navy JAG officer, practices up in Fort Worth. Where can folks go if they want to check out what you guys do?
My military practice is at jagdefender.com. Come see me.
That's jagdefender.com, folks. Brian Bouffard, thank you very much, buddy. Appreciate your time and expertise as always here on the Voice of Texas. Sure.